Happy New Year, everybody. I know it's late already, but since this video is the first one to come out in 2023, let me say Happy New Year to everyone. In 2022, it was my first time to start growing figs. I had about 30 varieties and it turned out about 43 all day. Since 2022 growing season has long gone, it should be time to pick winners. As a first time growing fig, there's nothing much going on. So as long as any variety that produces its fruit at its first season, it's gonna be a winner. So let's start with Smith. I have a 5-year-old tree that I able to get it from a local seller. This tree doesn't qualify for a first season or first year tree, but I want to bring to attention because this tree has performed really well for me. It produced abundantly and also it ripe all of its fruit, not even single one of it go to waste. On top of it, it handles humid rain really well. Doesn't matter how much rain there is, it doesn't split, not even a single one. That's impressive, especially for many of us that live in the hot summer but rainy. The only downside with my Smith tree this season was its fruit is not as sweet as I expected. But I think it's my fault because I overwatering them, at least what I believe, and I gonna watch how I water them and how much it get water in the next season, and I believe there gonna be some different with the sweetness. Speaking of mature tree, I also have a 5-year-old I-258. This variety is by far my most favorite, at least so far. I like this variety because it produces amazing taste of fruits. As a first-time fig grower, I was blown away by one of its fruits. I mean, first time to taste fresh homegrown figs, and it gives me that kind of flavor. It's really impressed me that what I can expect when my tree get mature with this variety. Second, it fruit a good size. It produces about medium to large figs in general. It does have one here and there like a small, but in general, medium to large. It vigorous. Who doesn't like a vigorous tree, right? It also produces very well, quite prolific. Only one downside, it doesn't handle rain or humid that well. When it starts to swell and it gets rains, my 5-year-old tree split half of its fruits. But otherwise, this variety check all the boxes that we're looking for. And I'm totally recommend anyone that try to grow or start to grow figs, definitely give this variety a shot. And on top of that, almost forget, this variety has been quite a while, and so it's make it very accessible, not cost you an arm and leg to get this variety. I have 3 all day of this variety, 2 of which is a first season tree. One produce 1 fruit, it drop, it's okay. Another one produce 7 fruit, ripe all of it, and it first season really great flavor. It look a bit, a lot different from a mature tree fruits, but the flavor really similar, and I'm excited for this variety. I cannot wait for the next season. And on top of that, this variety does produce some breva. Alright, now let's move on to the actual first season tree. So the variety that I'm going to mention first gonna be the tree that produce early fruit, and it's gonna be the last one gonna be on the later side. So surprisingly, start with the Montanha Verde. This tree, by now, if you follow my channel for a while, you should know, or you already know it. I have been talking quite about this variety. It produced only 2 fruit at its first season, and the size is really small. I'm not a big fan of small figs. Not really that impressive, but it has a lot of potential. The texture of the fruits really jammy. Next is Campaniere. I got 2 trees all day, and both of it produced at its first season. It produced quite a few, but it doesn't hold all of it. Only a very few of it hold on that I able to taste. It also very small fruits, very comparable size to Montanha Verde. Again, I'm not a big fan of small figs, but this fig it a really good flavor at its first season. the texture or the pulp look really good. And for that reason, I do kind of like this variety, and I'm kind of looking forward for it next season. Since it gets some age already, it should be produce a bit more fruit for my next season. For other two varieties, also produce small fruits. One is Violet de Bordeaux and another is Macul. For Violet de Bordeaux, I got 3 trees already, one of which from a tissue culture, but all of the trees produce really good, really well. They grow good, they grow very well. It costs very little to acquire this variety, but the flavor that it gives, it really punch above its weight. But again, I'm not a big fan of small figs, and it produces really small. Some of it, when I let it dry on the tree, it 5-6 grams. That's just too small, but it produces very good fruits and also reliably and also tasty. I like it, but maybe I have too many trees. I might be sell 1 or 2 or 3. I keep only once, or I maybe give away to friends. For Macul, it very similar story. It produces small fruit. It an amount and type, so nothing much really expect from this variety. It does have some nice berry flavor. It have a dark or at least a red pulp. Some people they like it because it's cold hardy, and it also prolific. Yes, it produced very well at its first season, and also vigorous. For my next winner is Olympian. This variety is very common. You can find almost everywhere, big box store, local nursery, and it's quite affordable because it's plenty full out there, so it's not gonna be expensive anymore. This tree is it produce sweet fruits. Mine produced 2 fruit at its first season, and it dry on the tree, so it really sweet, really concentrate the flavor. One of my winner this season is an unknown variety. I have been called it unknown giant California because I got the Rimada tree from California, and the fruit size is big, but for my experience, it doesn't produce that big of a fruit. It's about medium to large. Maybe it need more age, or it need to be in the ground to get its fruits, or it need more fertilizer to boost the size of its fruits. But at its first season, it's quite productive also, but it's only whole of 2 because it get hit with the fig mosaic virus badly, this one. Surprisingly, I like this variety a lot, despite an unknown or maybe a very simple honey type figs. For some reason, I like sweet fig, maybe because I'm new, or at least for now. Now another fig variety that the name suggests a big fig is Super Jumbo DK. Well, when we hear the name, maybe it's gonna be produce a jumbo size fig, right? It kind of, yes. It very prolific, really great at producing fruit at its first season. But the flavor is really let me down. I don't know, for some reason, maybe it's late in the season, because yes, it was almost into like a late fall already that I have that fruit ripe. That's why it doesn't have any sugar at all. It's very bland, and the pulp look okay. I'm not really pumped with this variety. Okay, now move on to the last group of winner. They are berry types. First to come on the list is Socorro Black. This variety is probably one of the underrated variety. As myself also, when I acquire this variety, I don't really know much about it, and don't really have a high expectation toward this specific variety. But man, after I cut open its first ripe fruit, when I see the color of its pulp, despite some kind of not fully ripe or kind of defected fruit, it really dark red pulp. and this one I'm also looking forward to the next season also. Next on the list is Côte d'Or Noir, the only Côte d'Or that make the list this season. I have a few variety of Côte d'Or. The Côte d'Or Noir, this one, Côte d'Or Blanc, Côte d'Or Rimada, Côte d'Or Gigantina, Côte d'Or Roja. All of those doesn't have any ripe fruit. Some maybe it late in the season that I acquired, that's why it doesn't produce any fruit. But for the Côte d'Or families, it have a reputation of a very late variety. So for the Côte d'Or Noir, it produces quite a bit, but it's very finicky. It just splits and spoils. And one of the fruit that I able to taste this season from the Côte d'Or Noir, it not really probably ripe, but at least it ripe enough to for me to judge it texture, it pulp color that give me more hope for the next season. For the last three variety is by far the latest. So the first to come on the list is Black Madeira or Preto together, because Black Madeira and Preto, they ripe at the same time, and I acquire similar time when I got the variety. So there's nothing earlier or later than, but just very same thing. For Preto and Black Madeira, they are quite prolific. They produce almost every single note that it has and every single branch. Maybe next season I gonna pinch off some, let only some stay, so maybe it can speed up the ripening process. At least you should give it a try, this variety. For the second latest variety is the Zone Warmicrons. Now, before I throw all the bad thing about this variety, let me make it clear. I like this variety, maybe one of my favorite also. It produces amazing fruits despite it late in the season. The texture, the color of the pulp, it's just one of the best, if not the best. It also a vigorous grower, maybe too vigorous. One of my tree don't even produce any fruit. It just keep growing and growing all season long. And only one of the tree produce 2 fruits that give me a big hope for the next season. This variety is, one of the downside is late. It rival or exceed Black Madeira in terms of lateness. I mean, I had to bring this tree inside the house to just ripe 2 fruits. That's insane. Alright, now the big review, the last one on the list. It is Bordissot Negra Rimada. Can you see it? Right here. It was in front of you the whole time. This variety is one of my personal favorites. Let's say it's my personal favorite. But wait, did I just say I-2 is by far my most favorite and now I get another favorite? Well, it's like parent race. All of their children are favorites. So you get it, right? Nailed it. Okay, let me explain. For I-2 is by far, yes, absolutely, I still stay and stand behind that claim, because it in overall it no doubt the best fix, and I would give it to a friend, give it to people that I like or whoever. And also I definitely are confident to recommend I-2 to anyone that want to grow fig. And I gonna believe in myself that my recommendation not gonna disappoint any one of those. So that's why the reason, like overall, like the whole package, that the make I-2 a real special, and that's why it by far the most favorite. But for this one, it's my personal favorite, because my personal favorite doesn't mean it work good if I give it to a friend, or it work good if I recommend to others. So that's why I don't put this about the I-2. If we can put the bar on it, I-2 here, this one maybe here. But if I give my personal favorites. I took it here. This one maybe a tad higher. That's all it is. The reason that I like this variety a lot because just look at the fruits. It's just gorgeous. When it's young, it's ripe, and when it ripe like this, it turns purple. It's just beautiful. I don't have to explain to you how beautiful this one. And look at the pulp. It not just look good, but it also tastes fantastic. Nailed it. In fact, I like this variety so much. It's the only one variety that I already have a tree, and this season I get another cutting of this variety. So the only one among like 30 or now maybe 40 variety already I have, and that's the only one. So it has a special treat. So if this variety all that great, all that amazing, all that beauties, why I not recommend to anyone, or I hesitate to recommend it? The reason is so many. First, you already know it's a super late, one of the latest one. It rival Black Mirror. So Black Mirror had the reputation of a late fix. This one maybe already surpassed it. I'm not sure it's maybe my tree is still young or whatever, but as my first season, that what I get is super late. I have to bring the tree inside the house again to get the fruit ripe, and man, when the fruits it just stay like forever, like seconds. Despite it quite a while in the community already, but the price of this cutting is still high. I mean, I get a cutting like 40, so not the most expensive, but the mother tree that produce fruit I get about 120, 25. So it's not a cheap rate, and if you recommend a new grower, they're gonna look at you twice before they pull the trigger. And even myself, when I decide to buy this variety, I have on the wish list for a long time too. For the last reason, not a big deal, but maybe for some, it's very slow grower. It prolific. My tiny tree, it produces 6 fruits, but it doesn't like to grow at all. It takes a very long time to grow this tall to this tall. It just even slower than a Black Madeira. Alright, that's all I got for you today. And whatever I have said, it's just based on my little experience. If you have a different experience, you totally welcome to express your opinion. And if you have a personal favorites or late variety that you like, or the early variety, write them down in the comment section. Those information is valuable for the fellow grower. And that being said, I see you next video. Bye bye.